but we were trying to do it. My father worked hard all his life. He sold fencing, he sold carpeting. He ended up as a maintenance man. My mom didn't work until after Daddy had a heart attack and lost the car. To hang on to the house, she went to work answering phones at Sears. I often think of my family as America's family. I have 3 older brothers. They're always known as the boys. I'll just tell you, I was about 35, and one day I was driving along and it hit me. I really was a surprise. 3 much older brothers. They all served in the military. My oldest brother, Don, 288 combat missions in Vietnam. My second brother, John, worked construction all his life. 10 years of a good union job operating a crane. When he couldn't get a good union job, he operated a shovel or hammer or whatever he could do. I just want to say I'm so proud of my brother. That is a hard life to raise 3 children on. But he did. My brother David, the one in the family with the real spark. He was the one who started a small business. When that one failed, he started another one because he could not imagine a world where he wasn't out there living by his wits. That's just the kind of guy he is. Me, I started working when I was 9. It was not the Newt Gingrich plan. Instead, totally an opportunity. Family across the street had a new baby. New baby had colic. I was in business. For 35 cents an hour, I would have rocked that baby all night long. I started waiting tables at 13. I got married at 19. And I graduated from a public university. Can we hear it from public university? I turned around and I started teaching in elementary school special needs fields. Let's hear it from public schools. My daughter Amelia was born when I was 22, and then when I was 24, this is where the story takes a hit. I hauled off and went to law school. Now I went to a state school, but I had 2 things I had to manage: tuition and childcare. So the big deal was Amelia's 2nd birthday was my first day of law school, and it was critical, therefore, to get her dependably potty trained by her 2nd birthday. I just want to say I am here this afternoon courtesy of 3 bags of M&Ms.
Amen.
I loved law school, but I graduated from law school 9 months pregnant. I was still doing the family thing too. 9 months pregnant meant 100% unemployable. So you work with what you got. I took the bar, I hung out a shingle, I practiced law out of my living room with 2 little kids underfoot. One of whom was dependably potty trained. The other was not. I liked law practice, but before long, I went back into my first love, which is teaching. I traded the little kids in elementary school for the taller kids in law school. I always taught the money courses. That's what I do. Contract law, commercial law, finance, bankruptcy. And I taught at 5 different universities. And just nearly 20 years ago, right now, my husband and I moved here to Massachusetts. And we moved here for 2 reasons. First is that Bruce was born and raised here. His mom and dad were still alive then. His brother and sister are both still here, sister's family. So it was a chance for us to live near family, which mattered a whole lot to us. The second reason is I got a terrific job offer, which is a great reason to come to Massachusetts. And it is how I see the arc of my life. I'm the daughter of a maintenance man who ended up as a fancy pants professor at Harvard Law School. America's a great country. Story is exactly why I am in this place. Because I grew up in an America that was still investing in kids like me. And I worry that America is turning away from them. That the story I had is not a story that today's kids will have. So here's how I see this story. It starts during the Great Depression. A dark time for America. Many wondered if democracy would survive. What did we do? We made two critical decisions. The first was about financial rules, and I've talked a lot about those in a lot of places, the importance of having a referee in the game, a cop on the beat. But today I want to talk about a second decision we made in that tough time. We made the decision as a country to invest in us, to invest in our future, to invest in our kids. And we did it big time. Over the next half century, we invested heavily in education, from Project Head Start to community colleges and public universities and GI Bill. We invested. We invested in infrastructure, roads and bridges. We built the national highway system at this point. We invested in rail. We invested in power. And think about it, it's a great story. We built the national power grid. Why? Because we weren't sure where the next good idea was going to come from or who was going to have it. But we were pretty sure you were going to need to plug in to turn it into anything of real value. So the job of all of us was to make sure the right conditions were in place to take that good idea and make it move somewhere. And we invested heavily in research. The idea that we are a people who look at problems from a lot of different ways. Excuse me, just getting over a cold. Look at problems from a lot of different ways, and we would build a big pipeline of ideas. Basic research from the government, do it in private universities and public universities. Other people would pick up from that and turn it into something great. And I want to say those four kinds of investments paid off, paid off, paid off. You look back at, for thank you, the half century. Thank you, dear. I don't even want to slow down here. That half century following the Great Depression, you watch it. GDP in the United States, adjusted for inflation, year over year, just keeps going up. And here's the key. Median family income just keeps going up too. The family in the middle. So here's how it worked. As the country got richer, America's families got richer. And as America's families got richer, the country got richer. And as a country, this is when we built a solid middle class. This is when it happened. And it changed us as a people. We began to see that if you make the right investments, opportunity just keeps expanding. We began to see you measure people, not by how they were born, but for what they can do. And look, you look back the 1950s, 1960s, there were a lot of people who were not welcome in different educational institutions and business. Women were cut out, African Americans were cut out, Latinos were cut out, gays were cut out, lesbians were cut out. But we were committed to the arc, the idea that as a people, we believed in expanding opportunities to everyone. Everyone got a chance. Sometimes it was 2 steps forward and it felt like 3 steps backward, but we moved in the right direction. And then, about 30 years ago, in the 1980s, we lost our way. We drifted in a different direction, and I'll just roll that forward to where we got by the 2000s. So here we are, both during the boom and the bust of the 2000s. China is investing 9% of its GDP in infrastructure, building a future. Europe is investing 5% of its GDP in infrastructure. Here in the United States, we're at 2.4% and trying to figure out how to cut. You can't build a future like that. Research, adjusted for inflation as a proportion of GDP, we have cut federal investment in basic research by more than 50% since the late 1960s. Is there anyone in this room who believes that you shrink the pipeline of research and ideas and build a future, a competitive future? Education. There's a lot of places to pick, but I'm going to focus on state universities, community colleges, the places the bootstrappers go. Think about what a kid spends today compared to 30 years ago to go to a state university just on tuition and fees. You'll live at home, you'll bunk, you'll do whatever you need to do. The answer is the out-of-pocket cost has increased 350%. We don't build the future if we don't make investments for our children, if we don't create the right conditions for them to flourish. So here's how I see this. We're making investments as a country. The problem is we're making investments in those who've already made it. We're putting billions into the oil industry. The oil industry has already made it. We are foregoing taxes for large and profitable companies. General Electric, just one example out there, pays zero in taxes despite all of its profits. We are investing in hedge fund managers by saying if you can get paid in stock rather than a paycheck, you'll pay at less than half the rate that you would have paid on those dollars. Those are investments that everyone in this room is making. Those are investments that we are making with those who've made it instead of making in our future. Now, understand me. I don't want to hurt anybody. That's not the point. I just want them to play on a level playing field. For me, that's what this race is all about. What kind of a people are we? What are we investing in? What are our values? Are we a country that believes, I got mine, the rest of you are on your own? Or are we a country that celebrates success, loves success, but believes everybody, no matter how rich and no matter how powerful, has to take a piece of that and pay it forward to create the right conditions so the next kid can make it big and the kid after that and I am in this race in part to honor my mother and father, who are now gone, who never put much together in this world, but who believed down to their toes that their children were growing up in an America of expanding opportunity. And I am in this in part because I now have 3 little grandchildren. And I want you to understand this. I will be out there fighting every single day to make sure that they grow up in an America that is also committed to expanding opportunity.